morning, and how do you do? Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, and God loves you. Ooh. That's right, baby. Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops is live and live. Listen, my God came over me and said, "Rise, Edwina. You are one of the chosen ones that I have selected to rise this day that nobody will ever see again. Therefore, that means you know that I have something for you to do. I have something for you to say to save just one more person, one of my children. As my mother would often say, getting up her 6 kids. They're my children. They're my children. God say, go help and save just one more of my children. All right? For that, we want to give him the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah, the worship, the acknowledgement, and most important, right? Glory. Glory. Give him glory. Bless his name. I love my AJ Harding. I tell you, boy, he was hot this morning. He was on fire. And so for that, I thank my God for touching me with the gift of life and obviously touching you for this day we will never, ever see again. Welcome to y'all know, the Free to Hope, right? Conversation. With Edwina B. From Recovery, Emerge, Empowered, to give hope to others, help others prosper equally, okay? Now, these dentures are loose. I just found them, and I just put them in my mouth. So y'all know the deal. If they fall down or slip out, don't get excited because you should be used to it by now. That's why being authentic and transparent is so vitally important because you never know when the real you comes out. But if you practice being the real you all the time, guess what? It's no problem. So I love you guys. I thank you guys for everything, all the support, all of the encouragement, all of the prayers. As I laid to rest my sister Helen Niece this past Saturday, she had a very elegant, sweet, and small, intimate group of individuals and family members who was able to share some special moments and share some memories and also share some food at our church, Canaan Baptist Church, where our pastor, who did the eulogy, Reverend Dr. Christopher Allen Bullock. Yes, that is our pastor. And so on behalf of my sister, Helen Sabrina Hall, right? I call her Roto-Rooter, right? We want to thank everybody for all of your support. You know who you are. Thank you for those who contributed to her services. Y'all know who you are. So listen, thank you. Thank you, Canaan. Thank you, Canaan. All right. So with that being said, let me just ask you a question, because we shared something right yesterday, because I'm getting right into the topic today, right? All right, so where's my coffee? Hold up, y'all. Let me get my coffee because we're going to need to take a drink. How many of you enjoyed the reading yesterday that talked about a look backwards, right? I'm gonna get up again because I just put the percolator down, right? So yesterday we're talking about the 8th step of the Alcoholics Anonymous spiritual steps, principles, choices, tools, resources, and how we apply them to our daily life, right? And so the 8th step of the 12-step program says, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Now, I hope some of you was able to go back into your history as far as you can remember and identify individuals or agencies, organizations that you harmed in some way, shape, form, or fashion. You stole from the candy store. You lied on your sister. You cheated on your boyfriend. You stole from the job. You cut somebody off. You maybe told somebody something that was false. And so, if in fact that those memories come back at sometimes surprising moments by a deja vu moment, a record, a song, a place, the resemblance of somebody, right? And you was like, "Ooh, I wonder what happened. Ooh, I lied on him. Oh, I stole from them." So, check it out. If you want to be as free as I am, transparent and authentic, then I suggest that you too utilize the 12 spiritual principles, tools, and resources that I have learned in a 12-step fellowship, right? And of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so it's amazing how all of these 12 steps came from the scriptures. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. The second movement was the Oxford group, and they tried to use religion to cure our disease of alcoholism. And they were second, and the first one was the Washingtonian groups, who was a temperance group. They too tried to cure our disease of alcoholism, whether they acknowledged it was a disease or not. They thought they had the answer for those who drank too much and made their lives totally unmanageable. But it wasn't until Roland went to see Dr. Carl Jung, and Dr. Carl Jung let him know that as many years as he's been seeing Roland, there's nothing he can do about his drinking. And there was nothing the Washingtonians or the Oxford group could do about his drinking. And so Roland was like, well, what's the answer? And Dr. Carl Jung said, what people like you need is divine providence, divine intervention. You need a spiritual experience that will generate a spiritual awakening that will produce spiritual breakthroughs. However, there are some spiritual steps that are spiritual in nature that will cause that spiritual transformation. So everything is based on spirituality. You got me, Roland? Roland said, I never thought about that, but yeah, I'm going to go back and tell Dr. Bob and Bill W. what you said. And guess what? Voila, AA was brought into fruition, right? And so within these 12 spiritual principles lay the foundation of what we now know who are in Alcoholics Anonymous, that this is what we wanted all our lives but didn't know. And the design for life is to find our way back to our Creator, whether we know Him or not. And so through the 8th step, where we identified individuals, agencies, organizations that we have caused harm to in one way, shape, form, or fashion, and become willing to make amends to them all, right? And so yesterday we talked about a look backward, going back as far as you can remember where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were first formulated. So were you able to identify some people you harmed in your past? Way back last year, 10 years ago, right? Are there some people that is still are still holding resentments against you, grudges against you? Are you holding grudges against somebody, resentments against somebody? Are you? Well, this 8th step list and your willingness to repair any harm done is the whole purpose of the spiritual transformation that we need to put pen to paper, identify the person or the agency, describe the situation, the part you played in it, and what type of amends to make, direct or indirect amends, okay? And so today's topic piggybacks off of yesterday. And so when we go back and do our fourth step inventory, where it says we made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves, we identified as many character defects that we could, and God knows how many more we have, right? But some of us already know we are a liar, we are a cheater, we are a thief, we're a manipulator, we are untrustworthy, we are unfaithful. Yes, we're jealous, we're envious, all of that, right? Those character defects that you can just count on your 10 fingers and your 10 toes, okay? All right, 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. Okay, you want to be that way about it. I ain't gonna say what I wanted to say, but it's okay. You want to be anal about it, then go ahead. All right. Listen, I tell you, I love being transparent. Listen, I just can't help it, right? And so when we talk about this upcoming reading, the topic for today is, right, a clean sweep. Now, how many of you were from the old school, right? Where I don't know where y'all come from, but my granny and my great grandmother, Grandma Carrie, right, and baby Helen and all the other ones, they used to wash the steps, right? They get on their knees and their hands and they scrub them white steps and on the side and upright, right? They get that broom and they sweep the sidewalk and they sweep up and down the alley and they pick up their trash. Some of us sweep like me and don't pick up what you swept till days later, like me. Yeah, now, like what sense does that make, right? But in essence, they were cleaning off their steps. They were sweeping away debris that was in front of their house, right, surrounding their house. So they was able, right, to look at their sidewalk and their steps and said, wow, I need to do a clean sweep. I need to do a clean wash, right? And the reason why is because on a daily basis, you don't want the dirt, the trash to accumulate because it's much harder. Well, I must have missed that boat. Listen, y'all, there is not a domestic bone in my body. There's not. I don't like house cleaning. I don't like going to the market. I don't like the washing machine and dryer. I only use those things because at one time or another, I have to deal with them and I have to do those things. But do I like it? Hell to the no. No, no, no. Why? Because a seed was planted when I was a child. My mother had 6 kids, right? And a husband. And as soon as mommy or we would clean up, we would mess up. As soon as we clean up on Saturday night, it was messed up. As soon as we waited till next Saturday, everything had built up, right? And so I remember my mom saying one day, listen, y'all want to live like this? Y'all go right ahead. She said, listen, I'm not going to keep cleaning for y'all to mess up. Even though y'all try to clean up, y'all don't keep it clean. And my dad had a nerve to want to say something about, her not cleaning and da-da-da-da-da. My mom said, you know what, Eddie Hall? F for housework. With these 6 kids and you, I ain't doing nothing. Listen, no. I remember that. So that seed of not being domesticated came from that one statement, and I understand why, right? And so as a result of me looking back and seeing the need to clean and to keep it clean takes on a daily routine, right? And so one of the things that I've learned about my recovery, I know that I can do something consistent on a daily basis. I know that now, right? And that is, I have never, ever left the basics of my 12-step spiritual program within a spiritual fellowship. So I know what it means to be consistent. I know what it means to have a good addiction, as Dr. Christopher Allen shared Sunday, right? Right? Be addicted to prayer. Be addicted to being of service to others. Being addicted to praising God. Guess why? Because we are all creatures of habit. And so, as a result of me knowing that if I'm consistent with that, then that means I know I can be, right? It's a mindset, okay? It's a mindset. But honey, when it comes to the house and when it comes to cleaning and clothes and hangers and man, I be kicking things all around rather than hang them up, right? So I am who I am and I do what I do and if it's God's will, I'll get better with it. Maybe. I don't know. But for right now, listen, I'm like my mom. I'm so glad I live by myself now. So I ain't got to worry about nobody talking about this and moving that and moving this. Listen, y'all step over, push it to the side, make room, and get over it. You deal with your house the way you want to deal with it, and I'll deal with mine. So I never did have a lot of company anyway. So I don't expect people to show up unexpectedly. And if they do, I tell them to step over, move that to the side, whatever. Not just in my house, but even in my car. So that's one of the character defects that I still have to get better with. So let's talk about the topic today, okay? Now, it says here, so, and we can dissect this baby, okay? I never did get my coffee, but let's see. I probably don't need it. All right, so it says here, August the 13th, Daily Reflections, a clean sweep. And our co-founder takes a quote off of page, I don't see the page number, from the 12 Steps and 12 Tradition, and it states, and third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. Woo, woo. The person in recovery shares his experience, strength, and hope by relating to the quote, and it reads, as I faced the 8th step, everything that was required for successful completion of the previous 7 steps came together. Courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness. I could not muster the strength required for this task at the beginning, which is why this step reads, became willing. I needed to develop the courage to begin, the honesty to see where I was wrong, a sincere desire to set things right, thoroughness in making a list, and willingness to take the risk required for true humility. With the help of my higher power in developing these virtues, I completed this step and continue to move forward in my quest for spiritual growth. My. Did y'all hear that? Okay, so let me go get my coffee. Y'all stay right there, okay? Because I want y'all to think about what was read, and I want you to marinate on it for a couple of reasons. So when you think about, right, looking backward, right, and you think about those individuals or agencies, organizations you may have caused harm to in one way, shape, form, or fashion, and for some reason it still lingers in the back of your mind, and it reminds you that you really don't have a clear conscience, right? And so that's what I mean by going back as far as I can remember when we talked about, as a child and how we were raised and where we was raised and under what conditions and things of that nature, right? We have a lot of information as to how these attitudes, ideas, behaviors were first formulated by who and what situations and circumstances, okay? And so here this person and I mean our co-founders, he said, and third, right? And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, right? I have done an eighth step several times in my 34 plus years, right? Every so often, the steps are recycled because of my spiritual growth, right? And so, what I read 10 years ago compared to what I read 30 years ago, compared to what I read a year ago, based on my spiritual growth, I find something else that I didn't see or heard then. And so that's why it's so important for me and people like me who are in recovery to stay connected, right? Having a positive spiritual habit of wanting to elevate my spirituality, right? And so when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But because this is a spiritual journey, when the spiritual student, when the spiritual student is ready, the spiritual teachers will continue to appear. All right, so it says here for me, right? And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. Did you hear that? So, as a result of step 8 and the previous 7, it's all about rebuilding our relationships that our humanness has brought about some chaos, right? Because we are born into a sinful world and of a sinful nature. Can you imagine all the character defects with over 6 billion humans on this earth? Wow, that's a lot of defects clashing, right? Don't you think? Right? And so I know that being chosen to be a part of this spiritual program within the spiritual fellowship, I was going to be prepared, molded, shaped in order to uh, um, be in harmony, one with myself, with my God, with the universe as a whole, right? And so when I think about relationships, it always go back to the first group that I belong to, right? What type of relationship that I have with my family, right? And so as a result, and during my fourth step, I was able to identify where those some positive but mostly negative thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors were first formulated, and what situation, what circumstances, what part did people play in it, what part did I play in it, what effect did it have on my humanness, let alone my spirituality, which I had no clue what that was, never even heard the word before, until years later. I thought when I was smoking crack or high on marijuana or high on those psychedelic drugs, I thought I was having a spiritual something, right? I was just tripping, right? So let's get back to having done an eighth step over and over and over again over the years. I have built great relationships. I have repaired a lot of relationships. And just as recent as Saturday at my sister's slash niece a memorial service, right? I was in my feelings, and there was a couple of siblings that I, you know, and I said some things underneath my breath, and I said some things out loud, and I walked away, and so I was there in my humanness, even on the church grounds. Oh, yes, 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 right? And so I know that when I am in that mood or in that type of a mode, I just let it out, right? And one of the things that I've learned, when I release what I'm feeling inside, I'm expressing and I'm getting out, that it doesn't have to fester within, right? And so, to make a long story short, after everything was said and done, right? Sunday night, I text my siblings and I basically said, blessings, siblings. I said, on behalf of Rhoda Rooter, I want to say thank you all. Thank you. But I also want to ask forgiveness if I offended you in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Yes, 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 yes. And so that helped me to take the negativity of that spirit of wanting to cuss them out, beat them up. I was going to, man, oh Lord. And so I had to, for my own serenity, ask for forgiveness, disregarding what they did or said to bring about it and the reaction and all of that. So I feel better that I did that for me. And so that's what it means here when we talk about, right? When it says, right, with we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. So you get the drift, right? And so, in getting to what the gentleman says, he says, as I face the eighth step, no, let me go back for a minute, right? Let me ask you right now, are you in harmony with your family? Are you out of sorts with some members of your family? Are you not talking or corresponding or relating to members of your family? How long has it been? Uh, where are they now? Where are you now? Do you think about them in a positive way, or do you think about them in a negative way? Do you think about what they did to you and how they did it to you? Do you think about the harm that they caused in your life and so forth and so on? That there's a rift between you and your siblings. Let's start with the family first. They say everything starts at home, right? So let's start at home. Are you angry, upset with your mother, your father, whether they're alive or not? Are you still holding resentments against what they did or they didn't do? Are you still blaming them for how you turned out, whether they are alive or not, right? So when we have those kind of thoughts and feelings about, I'm just saying, with our family, let's start there. Then our family members need to go on that list, right? Made a list of all persons we had harmed, irregardless of what harm they did to us, right? So we know that it's always a two-way street, right? Somebody says something, you react. I say something, they react. Character defects and this, and they said that, and that. Next thing you know, it's fighting. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness. Yes, 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 yes. There is chaos within our own families. And that's why I thank God that coming to this 12-step spiritual fellowship, I learned about my extended family, right? But let's stick with currently. Do you have any grudges, resentments, animosity, and all that against anybody in your immediate family, extended family? Okay. And so when you think about that person, do you get a headache? Do you get all tensed up? Do you like talk about them? Do you say to yourself, man, I wish I listen, right? Do you avoid them? You don't want to go around them because they will trigger something in you, and you might just kick their behinds. You know what I mean? So I know what I'm talking about because I felt that way and can feel that way again if I don't stay spiritually grounded, right? And so when we talk about our past, we start with the first group, and we want to be in harmony with every human being possible. And me sending that text was my way of, acknowledging that I needed to seek forgiveness because I had some negative thoughts, some negative feelings about them, about what they did, and vice versa. And I asked for forgiveness, right? Yes. And so it didn't matter whether they responded or not. I set myself free. And that's what the spiritual principles, resources, and tools are used for, to help set you free. Okay. And so let's go back to the reading, right? So the guy says, he says, right? As I faced the eighth step, everything that was required for successful completion of the previous seven steps came together. So let me hang a nail there and let me take a drink, okay? Now, you know how, think about it. You build a house, right? And the thought of building a house always starts with a thought, because you get a thought in your mind and you start visualizing how you want your house, right? And so I'm describing the previous seven steps, right? And so these previous seven steps helped me, right, to lay the foundation of making this eighth step list, right? So it says, as I faced the eighth step, everything that was required for successful completion, not partial, not a little bit, right? Required for successful completion of the previous seven steps came together. So with the blueprint of the house and the architect and the foundation of the soil and underneath the soil, right? We did all our homework. We did all our research, right? And now we have built a solid foundation with the previous seven steps, and it has been successful, okay? And so when it says, as I faced the eighth step, everything that was required, no shortcuts, no different angles, no going around, no, everything, right? Everything that was required for successful completion of the previous seven steps came together. And this is how it came together, right? So let's take this one by one, right? It says here, courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness. Let's stop there and let's dissect this baby. Courage. Do you know how challenging, I used to say difficult, do you know how challenging it is to be courageous, right? And because when I think about my inability to be courageous, it was always based on some type of fear, right? I was afraid. I couldn't face. I was scared. I didn't have the courage. I didn't have the muster to go. You know what I mean? And so this step here, based on the previous seven, the eighth one says it takes courage. Courage. And that's why I use that serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can. Okay. And then the next one, it says, right, honesty, right? So the how and how it works. Honesty, open-minded, and willingness. Now, in order for you and I to make that searching and fearless more inventory, when I say butt naked honesty, oh my, you can't get more honest than that, right? See, I've learned through my journey that the sooner I tell myself the truth, the sooner I can get better. The longer I keep lying to myself, the longer it's going to take to get better. And when I say honesty, I bring up that situation where these 8 people in a rehab asked me to share with them what my pattern was every time I picked up a drink or a drug, right? And because I had the opportunity to really dissect how my thinking process, right, generated by my feelings, then my thinking process, my feelings, and then the actions or behaviors manifested from my thinking and my feelings, right? So when I let them know what my pattern was from A to Z, and I'll tell you again what it was, they said to me, Edwina, based on what you just said, Do you think you're powerless over alcohol and that your life was unmanageable? I paused for a minute and I said, you know what? You damn right. I heard myself tell myself the truth. They didn't tell me because I have a problem you telling me about me and you don't even know me. But by them giving me the platform to say, you tell us what happens to you. You tell us what your pattern is, right? It's coming from your mouth. It's coming from your thoughts. It's coming from your feelings. You tell us, since nobody can tell you anything, right? And when I heard myself tell myself the truth about what happened every time I picked up a drink or a drug, no matter where I was, who I was with, right? It didn't matter. I heard myself tell myself the truth. Woo! I had the courage that was given to me underneath that parked car. As I shared with y'all, that was where my knee-bound experience was. When I hollered out to this God that I didn't know to take me out this life or show me a better way. I was chosen, and I know that. So my creator, who I know now and didn't know to the extent then, right, provided me the courage to get up and move forward and to begin to yield to the Spirit. And so it was that honesty part, right, that I had to be honest with myself. I know I needed help. I know I needed help, but the difference this time was I wanted help. I wanted help. That was the honest truth. I wanted help. I know I need help, but I want help. Help me. Help me. I want it. I want you to help me. There's a different mindset with needing something and wanting something, right? And so I was honest that I want help, right? And so as a result of the courage and the honesty, you better believe there was a depth of sincerity in my cry for wanting help. That was followed by the willingness to ask for help. Right? If you're going to ask for help, then you're supposed to use the help, right? And so that's where I found my sincerity and recognizing that this God did not take me out, but kept me here for a reason, for a purpose, right? So I was sincere, right? And then with the honesty part, I look back over my pattern again, right? And yes, I was thorough. I needed thoroughness, right? So it says here, right? As I faced the 8th step, everything that was required for successful completion of the previous 7 steps came together. Courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness. I could not muster the strength required for this task at the beginning. Yeah? I could not muster the strength required for this task at the beginning, right? I'm going to stop there because I told you I believe in dissecting this baby, right? So in the beginning, right? I couldn't muster the strength because I didn't know what was in front of me, but I damn sure knew what was behind me. Underneath a parked car, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting high with my own stepson, doing all kind of sexual favors for him. And when he transformed under the drugs and coupled with mental illness, and I did the same thing, what? We were worse than animals at each other. So yes, I knew that for some reason or another, I had to muster the strength required for this task in the beginning. And that's why when I tell you, my life flashed before me underneath that parked car. I was the class vice president. I was the co-captain of the cheerleader team. I was voted one to most likely to succeed. I wanted to be a model, an actress, a phys ed teacher. I had dreams, I had aspirations, but you're underneath a car. You're underneath a parked car, 3 o'clock in the morning. Are you kidding me? Yes. In the beginning, I couldn't even muster in any of this. The strength, what? Look at me. And the flashbacks of my life continued, right? All the things I said, all the things I did, the lying, the stealing, the prostitution, right? The conniving, the manipulating, causing harm to children, molesting a 5-year-old boy as a 14-year-old teenager. Yes, yes, yes. I am thorough and I'm honest. So with that in itself, I could not find the strength in the beginning. But because I wanted help, this creator gave me an opportunity that he can only give to get it right, right? And so it says, I could not muster the strength. Let's go back. Let's see. I could not muster the strength, right? Required for this task at the beginning, which is why this step reads, became willing. Let me stop there. That's why this step starts with became willing. Became willing to make amends to any and everything, everybody, every institution. Became willing. It didn't say do it. It said became willing. Yes, I was willing to tell these individuals. God gave me the courage to tell them what my pattern was, right? I became willing based on what they were saying to me. It took courage, it took strength, but I became willing. And therefore the honesty, right? The thoroughness, the courage, the sincerity, right? Came about, and I was set on a pathway to spiritual freedom, unknowingly to me, right? And so it says became willing. Let me ask you right here, right now. Do you have the desire to rectify any and all harms you have created in your entire life up until now? Do you have the desire to be rid of all guilt, remorse, right? Shame? Do you? Huh? Do you have the willingness, right, to want to face life on life terms, right? However, you'll be utilizing spiritual principles, tools, and resources to apply to all earthly matters in this human body. Do you believe you can become willing to do that? Huh? So the step says, right, we made direct amends to such people that we have harmed, right, and became willing. It's being prepared to, right? It's being prepared. I want to make all the wrongs right to the best of my ability. I want to make direct and indirect amends, whether these people are alive or the agency is bankrupt. It doesn't matter, because if it still festers in my mind, even just a little bit, I need to correct it, right? All right, so it says here, right? He goes on and says, right, became willing. I needed to develop the courage to begin, right? And if you're like me, we are beginning right now. I needed to develop the courage to begin. This is a new day, y'all. This is a brand new day. If there is one person that you can contact today, right now, who would that person be? Are you willing to put that person on your list, to put that phone number down? I'm just asking, are you willing? Just willing? Are you just willing to do it? Because it's been haunting you. It's been bothering you. You can't sleep. You're restless. You are not free. You are not free. So are you willing? Are you willing to rectify that situation without causing blame, without pointing the finger? just to acknowledge your part. Are you willing, right? And then it says, right, became willing. And it also says here, right, it says, courage to begin, the honesty to see where I was wrong. Oh my God. The honesty to see where you were wrong in that situation. Yes. Yes. You know how when we look at people and they do this and they do that and they say this and they say that, right? Guess what? You're looking at yourself. Because the only way you can see that in them is because it was or am a part of you. We are mirrors of each other. So if I see something in somebody that irritates me, that means that I am the problem. I need to find out why that irritates me so much. I need to find out why that disturbs me so much. I need to find out why does that bother me? Huh? See, in recovery, we change and adjust our attitudes because they say anytime we are disturbed in any way, shape, form, or fashion, something is wrong with us, right? And so honesty, right? Honesty to see where I was wrong is another part of this process, right? Then they go to, right? It says, a sincere desire to set things right. Listen, a sincere desire to make things right. If it's not sincere, then keep praying. There's no sense in doing it if it's phony. Do you know what a sincere desire to make things right? I know I needed to stop drinking. I know I needed to stop prostituting. I know I needed to stop smoking crack. I know I needed to stop stealing, manipulating, all of that. Right? Right? Yes. Huh? But was I sincere? You understand? So, some of us have those foxhole prayers, like, Lord, if you get me out of this situation, I swear I'll stop. Lord, that was not sincere. That was a desperate plea, right? A temporary one. But when you and I are sincere about something, guess who knows our sincerity and the level of it? Our Creator. So you better believe underneath that parked car, I could not have been more sincere for this God that I didn't know to take me out this life now or show me a better way, right? A desire to make things right. All right. And so then it goes on to say, right? And then to see where I was wrong, a sincere desire to set things right, a thoroughness in making a list, right? And so I let y'all know that how many of y'all got a list, right? You have a list of those you know you have caused harm to. So at the top of that list, I know I will become willing to make amends to those people. And guess who is at the top of the list first? Me, my family members, right? And then it went on down, right? The second column says I might make amends to these people. I might become willing to make amends to these people. You name the person, the situation, the circumstances, right? And what type of amends you need to make, direct or indirect, and also identifying the part that you played in. And that last column is labeled, I will never make amends to them. I will never make amends to them. Right? I won't become willing to make amends to them at all. But guess what the step 8 says? Made a list. That guy who raped me, yes, who passed me around like a bucket, spit on, called all kinds of names, told me, bitch, do me and do my boys too. If you don't do it right, I'm going to sick these dogs on you. Yes. Yeah. So what part did I play in it? Miss Flirtatious, Miss Promiscuity, right? Miss Promiscuous, right? Teasing and flirting, yeah. No. You played a part in that, Edwina. So what I'm doing is, as a result of my part that I played in it, they reacted in the way that they did. And therefore, their name should go on the list because I did something, said something that ignited something in them to behave like they did. Oh, this is some big draw stuff, y'all. All right. And then it says here, I got to get ready to go to my meeting. It says here, right? And the willingness to take the risk required for true humility. Oh my God, right? The willingness to take the risk required for true humility. Oh my. I got to go, y'all. Listen, let me finish this up, right? And so the last sentence says, right, with the help of my higher power in developing these virtues, I completed this step and continue to move forward in my quest for spiritual growth. You got that, right? A clean sweep. Yes, I practice on a daily basis, applying these spiritual tools, resources, and principles in all earthly matters in one way, shape, form, or fashion. For 34 plus years, one day at a time, I thank my God, who I didn't understand to the level I understand him now, which is why I am completing my dissertation, right, in biblical studies, wanting to know more about this God who did for me what no other human being is capable of doing, right? And so true humility recognize that I am not him, you're not God, and I will say, help me, I want help. I know I need it, but I want help. I want to be set free. I don't want to have to look behind my back, look over my shoulders. I want to be set free. And that's all that step 8 requires, is that we make a list, identify the situation, the circumstances, identify the part that we played in it, and identify what type of amends to make, direct or indirect. And when we use all the components that is stated in this reading today, we will be set on the road to freedom, peace, tranquility, harmony with every human being possible. Why? Because I, Edwina, have forgiven myself. I, Edwina, love me today. I, Edwina, protect me today. I, Edwina, right, care about me today. I, Edwina, have compassion and empathy for you today. Those things that are needed to restore relationships, I have to apply them to me first. Oh, yes. There's no way I could ask for forgiveness to my siblings this past weekend if I did not forgive myself. You see what I mean? So when it says, right, a clean sweep, that's what it means, a clean sweep. And there's a step called step 10. Continue to take an inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So I'm always trying to the best of my ability, keeping my side of the street clean. Okay? I got to go, y'all. I love you. You love me. Hi, darling. Darling Rose. We are one big family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say, you love me too? I love you. You feel the sincerity? I love you. Yes, I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it, as A.J. Harding will say, right? I love you. And God does too. So if it's God's will that we are reunited once again tomorrow, I'll be here. And if it's his will, you will be here too. So make sure that you identify one person that you can put on your list that you need to right a wrong that you have done anywhere in your life. Just start with one person. And maybe that one person is you. What harm have you caused yourself? Have you reached your fullest potential? Are you walking in your destiny? Are you living in your purpose? Are you in your calling? What harm have you done to you? Let's start with putting yourself on the list and identifying the harm you have caused yourself over the years. Today is a new day to start the process of true humility and forgiveness. To God be the glory. Be safe today. Love somebody, love yourself, and we will be reunited if it's God's will.